In 2021, I filmed the first episode of this series on the floor of my bedroom in the weeks following being retrenched. I'd been working for a particularly mismanaged animation studio for a few months, and suddenly being jobless was a difficult blow to my self-esteem and creative energies. Regular fans of my work at East Corp likely noticed a lack of videos releasing last year, particularly in comparison to the year before. This, naturally, cannot continue. So, what am I gonna do about that? Welcome to Imposter Syndrome. My name is James Vermont. I'm a writer, animator, and a professional train wreck. Over the last few years, I've released a few audio dramas and made some pretty terrible student animations. And we're here now to catalogue the process of my next mistakes, like audio dramas, and of course my major production, the pilot for an animated series. Now, don't you go thinking I'm making this all on my lonesome. Actually, I've got a team of three people. Wonderful! I'm going to die of sleep deprivation, and you all get to watch it happen here. Ah! My cardboard brains are going to explode as I completely lose my mind! Ah! Since this is my main project, let's talk about it first. I'm just going to talk about the narrative this week. I'll go into more detail about animation next time, or we're going to be here all day. Sunset Charlie is an animated series about a woman named Charlie. She's an aspiring voice actress whose first consistently paying work is a voice role in porn. She wants the job and she needs the money, but she's going to have to rethink a lot of personal bias towards sexuality and sex work in the process. Sex is a natural part of life, but I can't help but notice a societal habit of using sex to sell and market products while simultaneously demonizing anyone, particularly women, trying to profit off of or even just enjoy their own sexuality. Sexual agency and consent are at the forefront of this story. So, with the explanations done, where does the pilot stand now? At the end of last year, we finished the first draft of the script and sent it off to an editor, as well as a sex worker for sensitivity reading. Now that they've both returned with their feedback, I can get to work writing the second draft. As it stands, the pilot script is 31 pages long. And beyond other quality changes that need to be made, I need to get that script down to a much more manageable 24 pages. To be honest, if I have to animate 33 pages all on my lonesome, I think I might start to crack. Just a bit. But Sunset Charlie's not all I'm working on. I'm also writing the second season of my audio drama series, Who Needs Heroes? Aria Moon. For the uninitiated, which, according to its viewing numbers is most of you, Aria Moon is a cyberpunk noir story about the clone of a detective who is woken up after her predecessor dies and has to put together the shards of her toxic 5 former lives, despite having no memory of any of them. All whilst a conspiracy seems to be brewing in the battle between a populist movement and the megacorporations who rule over her city. Now, I wrote Season 1 more or less as it was airing in 2020, with a buffer of about 4 episodes. This was an absolute nightmare and pretty anxiety-inducing, so I'm trying to write the whole thing ahead of time and produce the season in 2 blocks of 10 episodes each. That's far easier said than done, of course. The first season of Aria Moon was essentially a novella, all written in prose with a word count of about 35,000 words. I'm estimating Season 2 will come in closer to the 50,000 word mark. And why is that? Well, the answer is pacing. Season 1 was intentionally paced quite slowly, in an attempt to create a dreamlike haze across everything that was happening. But I'm done with that, and the pacing of Season 2 has been amped up quite significantly, with major plot events occurring far more often and characters frequently being forced to make new and irrevocable decisions. Funnily enough, speeding the pacing doesn't always mean cutting things. Sometimes having a faster pacing creates a longer episode, which is exactly what's happening here. Though, I suspect my second draft may have to find places for breathing room, but you know what? That's a problem for future Vermont. Present-day Vermont has episodes to write. Specifically, these ones. Episodes 2 through 6. This represents the end of Season 2's first major story beats, where Aria is forced to make difficult decisions and confront uncomfortable things about herself. In a future episode, I'll likely talk about some of the choices I'm making with writing Aria's character this season, and why this new angle is more difficult than her Season 1 writing. But, you know, no spoilers. With all that out of the way, let's set out our goals for the next 2 weeks. We're starting with easy, achievable goals and working our way into the tougher ones as we go. That being said, let's lay them out. For Sunset Charlie, I need to finish the second draft. For Aria Moon, let's see if I can get episodes 2 through 6 of Season 2 written. But I suppose we'll find out next time. But we're not just here for me to tell you this is what I did and this is what I'm going to do. I actually want to talk about the process and theory behind at least one of the things I'm going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. With that being said, let's go back to Sunset Charlie and talk about sensitivity readers. See, I don't believe in the phrase, write what you know. I think a more appropriate term is, write what you want to know. This is how we grow out of our comfort zones and experience new perspectives. This is what stops us from just writing about ourselves and people exactly like us. With Sunset Charlie, I wanted to write about sex, sexuality, and sex work. Given that I am not a sex worker, I spent well over a year doing research to inform the script. Sometimes this provided new plot points that I could follow, tones and perspectives that altered dialogue, but I still don't really think that's enough. When you're writing across cultural boundaries, especially when that culture or a subculture is core to your story, then it's important to have a sensitivity reader, i.e. someone from that community who can read your script and find inaccuracies or anything offensive. I'm going to cite an example. There are many to pick from, but this is what I'm going with. A year ago, my attention was drawn to Brandon Sanderson, author of the Stormlight Archive, who wrote a novella where the protagonist was a woman in a wheelchair. What impressed me was that he made it clear publicly that he was using sensitivity readers from across the disabled community, with a specificity toward paraplegic women. And you know what? As a disabled person, I absolutely felt the benefits of that research when I started reading. Risson says and thinks the kind of things that I don't think would come to the mind of an abled person. I really appreciated that kind of care, and it's that kind of care that I want to put into my own writing. So, yeah, write what you want to know, just be sure you're taking the time to listen, and learn when the people you're writing about tell you what they think. Also, this shouldn't need to be said, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Please pay your sensitivity readers. Hey there guys, gals and otherwise, thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you like what you watch, maybe use your cardboard finger to hit that cardboard subscribe button. And if you want to vote for my next video or donate to what I'm doing here, you can find the relevant links in the description. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to come up with a witty closing line.